We are going to be looking at some creepy videos, strange and odd news stories, and as always, let's go and get right into today's video. So this first video is absolutely crazy. Apparently, over in Canada, 330, yes, there's that number again, it appears in every bizarre news story, 330 ostriches had their lives ended, all because somebody said they had the bird flu without really any proof. Now, because the magic number appears, we don't know if it's a psyop or what, but again, this is crazy.
This is a blood red warning to every single farmer, every homesteader, every Canadian who still thinks that your backyard is your backyard. The government just executed 300 innocent ostriches in cold blood, and they're coming for your animals next. 300 majestic ostriches, living, breathing, irreplaceable creatures, were just gunned down like targets at a firing range. All because some clipboard-clutching bureaucrat stamped avian flu on a piece of paper. The CFIA death squad rolled up to Edgewood, BC, locked the owners out, and turned a family-run farm into a feathered firing range. All because a lab somewhere waved a PCR wand and screamed, H5N1, which is a freaking nothing burger. This is not disease control, folks. It's a state-sanctioned execution squad wearing lab coats. And we're not stupid. We know exactly where this is going. First, they call the birds, which just happened. Then they call your backyard chickens, which is already happening. Then they call your right to grow a single tomato without a government barcode. So how did they pull this off? Easy. Step one, you let a highly pathogenic fairy tale loose in the media. Step two, you generate a reaction like, oh no, the sky flock is falling. Then step three, you offer the solution that you wanted all along. Total biosecurity control over every beak, claw, and egg in the country. Problem, reaction, extermination. The CFIA didn't just kill birds, guys. They killed trust. They killed the idea that your farm, your animals, your life's work is safe from men in hazmat suits with kill orders. Guys, this has nothing to do with some bogus bird flu. This is about who controls your private property and who owns your food. This is how empires fall, guys. One government bullet at a time. So here's the battle cry. Straight from the blood-soaked dust of Edgewood. No more secret death sentences. No more sniper rifles for science. No more farmers begging the courts for mercy. You need to buy direct from every rogue farmer that you can find. Raise your own birds. Pay in cash. And barter eggs for ammo. Because the second they can execute ostriches in the dark, they'll execute your future in broad daylight. This is the line, Canada. So step over it with us, or stay on the side that pulls the trigger.
And it's not just the birds. They can do this with also cows. Remember those news stories that were spreading around that cow milk and the cows were also getting the bird flu from the birds. They can have news and media spread some kind of bogus story, have people really worrying, and then they can have people in hazmat suits go to these farms, target cows, pigs, chickens, all types of animals, and say, well, we're worried about the bird flu, we're worried about this disease, we have to go ahead and terminate your livestock. Absolutely insane. And while doing this, they are tightening the control of what people can say or do online under the guise they're just protecting children, while at the same time they're having everybody and anybody who wants access to the internet upload their ID so they can track everything right back to that individual.
Well, we all know the under-16 social media ban will come into place next month, but do you know what else is coming in for Aussie adults? As of December 27, Australians will be forced to upload government-issue IDs every time they search the web while they're logged in. Google, Bing, it doesn't matter. No ID, no search. Now, the reasoning is protecting kids from adult content. No doubt that principle has benefit. We all want to keep our children safe. The reality, though, some critics say, is a full-scale experiment in in digital control. Mandatory ID uploads for all users, teenagers, seniors, everyone. Facial recognition or digital ID linking is the, quote, convenient alternative. No opt-out, no transparency, just compliance on behalf of the public. Now, China is one nation where this is in place already, but on a much larger scale. Their cyberspace ID is a government-run initiative aimed at linking citizens' real identities to their online activities. Though the government described the ID as voluntary, some critics say it may become mandatory by default. Access to essential online services, including payment systems, messaging, computing apps, could depend on possession of a digital ID. Once legal usage becomes compulsory, refusal would effectively block a citizen from daily life online, which in turn would flow into reality. That age-old idea of someone is always watching, it's no longer a metaphor. Now, this has not happened in Australia, and it's not happening to this extent on December 27. However, critics fear that this may just be the beginning. Your money, your data, essentially your whole life stored in the one place. Does it sound convenient or concerning? Would you feel safer knowing your information is in one government-controlled spot, or should you, the individual, be able to choose where your personal data is kept and who can access it?
Is that the digital ID is a lot more dangerous than what people think.
Got a bloody good point. Check this lad out.
Digital IDs are way worse and way more dangerous than you could imagine. I am a software developer, okay, and I'm going to give you some software reasons why this is so much more dangerous than the things you already know, okay? Please, please, please watch this the whole way through. Share, like, comment, share it with everyone. Everyone needs to know this because they need to know what they are opposing, okay? The first thing I want to say is to everyone saying it's only used for right to work, go on the World Economic Forum's website where they've got the digital ID up and it's like a picture with like 10 things around it about what they're going to use it for, okay? So first off, that reason's out. Here's the technical reasons of why it's so dangerous. Now, we already know about social credit score, we already know about carbon footprint, all these things that it could be, okay? But here's two technical things that are going on with the digital ID that you need to know, okay? Apple's safety and privacy on their phones has been one of their main selling points, and they've never laid down to any government when they've asked for access. Even when the police would arrest someone with an iPhone, they would struggle to break in because of Apple's advanced security features. That's the official name, okay? End-to-end encryption. Are you following, okay? The UK have now somehow made it that in the last couple of weeks that Apple have now to disable that on all UK phones. So if you have a phone in the UK and it's an iPhone, you will notice in your privacy settings that you will not have the ability to turn that feature on anymore. You won't even have the feature, okay? Because the government have now made them turn it off, right? The reason so that they can have access to what they deem as a national threat, okay? Whatever that means. The second thing, right? There's a thing right now called chat control, which a lot of people are fighting against right now, okay? Chat control is basically where there's like an AI or an LLM based on your device, a piece of software, right, that tracks every stroke of your keyboard, right? Every time you press something, whether it's in Snapchat, whether it's in messages, whether it's in notes, whether it's in WhatsApp, whether it's in like your private journal app, right? It collects this data and then it will categorize you. And who does that does what with the categorization? It gets sent off to, you guessed it, whoever it is, the servers, the government, the World Economic Forum, the evil people at the top of that, right? They will then categorize you in something by surveilling you like this. People do not understand this chat control thing, and with Apple's thing happening there, all in the UK, right, how serious and how dangerous this surveillance thing is. It's way beyond carbon footprint, it's way beyond social credit score. This is so deep, and they need the first domino to fall, which is to get this digital ID out there and for people to be on it. So I'm asking you, please share this video. People need to know so they know what they need to reject, okay? Please, please, please share this.
The UK is getting digital ID, but here in India, they've had it for years.
It holds the bank details, it holds every government authorities and every details of a person in it.
You trust this digital ID card?
I don't, but it's compulsory. We have to do it. There is no other option for us.
It's meant to crack down on illegal working, but also help with boring paperwork.
I find it quite secure, and it gives me a unique identification. So it helps me a lot during the legal processes.
They can track it very easily, and I think so they can track us.
Does that worry you?
Yeah, a little bit. Just because they are just one click away from our information, and it's like a privacy issue.
What's happening here matters because Keir Starmer has met the boss of the company that runs Indian Digital ID. Could their work be coming to the UK soon? I spoke to the boss of Infosys yesterday about the successful rollout of digital ID in India. What lessons did you take away from that conversation?
The speed with which it allows citizens here to access services, particularly financial services, is something that was recognised in our discussions, and in particular the benefits that it has brought in India.
Over 3 million people have signed petitions against digital ID. Keir Starmer will be hoping that people come round to it, like they have done here.
This next video I actually got from Barry Stepp's channel in his most recent video, and it actually shows what these nanoparticles, these nanotechnologies are actually capable of in the human body, and it's very, very eerie.
Okay, folks, I want you to watch a demonstration of nanotech. This is little micro robots, performing tasks. This one is it moving the fat and getting into the blood, as you can see, it's moving it along there, see, and helping. This one's going to put the circuit and create the light. You see how clever it is? Yeah. Now, there's conspiracy theories out there that this is in the V and building chips in people's bodies. Now, what you'll see is it froze that up there, It's that intelligent that it knew it couldn't get up, so what it does, and you'll see it here, it chucks it up. It froze it up. Watch, look. Froze one over, so the intelligence is obviously coming from us via some Wi-Fi connection or something like that. But I just wanted you to see nanotech and how advanced it really is, folks. That's all. Here it is, just to give you a little idea of what's going on in the technology world, if you like, and where we're at. So nicotine is the killer. It will kill all this. The Australian scientists have already shown that in videos now. So if you want to get rid of this, I wouldn't say start smoking. I'd just say get some nicotine in you and happy days. Remove the damage, if it's the case that you feel that, you might have some of this in you. Just saying, Just want you to watch what's going on with the way this nanotech works. Very, very intelligent, folks. Let me know in the comments what you think.
One of the reasons we started talking about boron really was because I had somebody reach out to me and send me a video. It was a whistleblower that had been working on nanotechnology for black op projects that no one even knew about. And this video, when I played it, he said, my team has been working on this nanotechnology, this transhumanism agenda. We've been working on this micro robots that are going to be introduced into the body. And he said, the thing that we're finding that will neutralize a lot of these things is borax. And then all of a sudden the video disappeared. I couldn't find it. I still to this day don't know how that happened. And that was it. And I just kind of, put that on the back burner until COVID happened and I was part of the COVID task force. And then we started really finding out what was in all these bioweapons and these synthetic bioweapons that were happening.
But the creepy part about this is not just the jab. It's not just people getting the jab and getting these nanoparticles doing who knows what, but it's also in the air we breathe through smart dust, smart particles, and the things we eat. I ran a video not that long ago talking about this news article where people found computer chips inside their grated cheese. And I am just so surprised this is something we do not talk about. Reading this article from CBS News, which came out back in 2023, Italian cheesemakers microchip Parmesan in bid to fight copycats. One of the world's most famous cheeses is also one of the most counterfeited dairy products on the planet. Competing manufacturers have for years produced cheaper imitations of Italy's Parmigiano Reggiano, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, a favorite topping for pasta and salad. Continue to read the article. It says the association that oversees production of the cheese says it has been putting microchips in its product as part of a technological trial which would allow consumers to trace Parmesan cheese back to its place of origin. Are you kidding me? So our bodies, our minds are just being wrecked in every way possible. The jab is just one part of this big ecosystem of just trying to put everything and anything inside us that they can.
How did things get as bad as they are? One of the most asked questions on all my videos. Well, the truth is, good examples of that are gone already, or they're dropping like flies. But even though they're gone, the info still remains, as long as you're willing to look. This man here is Walter Cronkite, an American broadcaster and once dubbed the most trusted man in America. Now, I realize a lot of people might not know who this man is. So to put it in perspective, this is basically the Joe Rogan of the boomer generation. Matter of fact, Joy Behar made that comparison on The View last year.
From Walter Cronkite, basically to this guy Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it.
Now, I want you to keep that in mind for the rest of this video. We all know how influential and how many people listen to Joe Rogan. Because Walter here was the second anchor for CBS News. This is the man that narrated some of the biggest and most questionable events in our history, like the moon landing, the assassination of JFK, Martin Luther King, John Lennon. And why are they all questionable? Well, because they all carry the same initials. 3 letters to be exact. These right here. This is their involvement in JFK. John Lennon, same thing. MLK.
Good evening. Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
And I'm sure we all know the questionable things that happened behind the moon landing. We'll see a while back, a certain whistleblower came out saying that Walter was actually on the payroll of those 3 initials. But of course, it was denied and never fully looked into. Even though the man that co-hosted the CBS News with Walter Cronkite left his position next to Walter to become an agent. Which to me is very interesting. Because even though Walter wasn't claimed to be a true member, he was a member of the Order de Mole, which is a youth fraternity for Freemasons. Now, even though there's denial that Walter was a part of any of those groups, there is one group that it was highly documented that he was a part of. And that group is the Bohemian Club, which is extremely interesting considering the things that Walter reported on and the members of the Bohemian Club and the things that happened there. And if you don't know what that club is, it's a rabbit hole you need to go down.
It's essentially a boys' club for America's elite. And we mean that literally because women are rarely allowed in. Every summer, the all-male Bohemian Club meets here to escape politics and business. We all know they still talk about politics and business because they don't have anything else to talk about. And some say worship at the altar of a giant owl statue. Today.
Now, to make old Walter here more relevant to our present day and what we're dealing with currently, well, towards the end of old Walter's life, a certain friendship started becoming more apparent. See, Walter started hanging out with his longtime friends, the Clintons. They even went sailing together after the whole Monica Lewinsky thing. And how is that important? Well, we all know Bill Clinton and a friend he used to have and a certain island he liked to go to, right? Well, it just came out in court documents that a certain TV broadcaster also went on that plane and took it to that exact same island. The once most trusted man in America hanging out at Epstein Island. Small world, ain't it? Y'all stay safe.
That great video came from Chaotic Concept, and it really goes to show, even way back in the 1950s, if they had millions and millions of people watching them every day, they have a popular TV show, then there's a very good chance that they are in the circle. And if you go down the rabbit hole to a lot of these individuals that seem like rogues, they are highly connected and doing some very questionable stuff. And with all these things in our bodies, inside our brains, and so forth, again, the smart dust, you really don't hear of people having deja vu anymore. And I actually posted this over on my X, and I'm actually seeing more and more people talk about this, how they no longer get deja vu, or they don't hear people talk about deja vu anymore. Now, I'm not saying it's no longer around. I'm sure some people still get it. But I remember being a kid back in the early 90s, and I would always hear people say, I just got deja vu. I got deja vu at a store and so forth. But again, I hardly ever hear people talk about it anymore. So I ran across this very interesting video from a Cultivate Elevate that talks about just that.
Deja vu, is basically you have two timelines going on at the exact same time. And what's happening is you're almost having like a premonition, kind of like precogs in the movie Minority Report. You're having a premonition of what's going to happen before it happened because it already did. And now you're just seeing it backwards. So that's kind of what deja vu is. Deja vu is just the ability for you to pick up on the future. And what's weird is I remember I was at a buddy's house one time and I never had deja vu in his house. And I thought that was so strange. And my buddy was very in tune with things. He let me stay over there and whatever else. But I remember I never had a single episode of deja vu in his house. And I thought that was always very strange. It's almost like that timeline was not meant to happen and I was not meant to live there or be there or stay there, because I've always had deja vu everywhere that I lived. It's like it's just going perfectly with the timeline in which it's supposed to go. But that one time I remember I had no deja vu and I was completely blown away because I was like, okay, this is strange. Because, deja vu can also work as, a way to know that you're on the right path. That's the other thing, because deja vu is kind of like I said, it's a premonition. You're seeing things in advance and you're seeing stuff of what you've had. And as people just said, I haven't had deja vu in a long time. Yes, and that's the thing with everything kind of going on the earth, and then all of this stuff, and then the frequencies and what they're trying to shift. There's a lot of things shifting at the same time as well. Even with our weather and all of these things, there's a whole bunch of things happening. The more these, the towers kind of come, the more they're altering what's actually supposed to be happening. So as somebody just said, I only get the deja vu anymore, 3 or 4 things. I almost never get it. Yeah, see, a lot of people. So it's like, where did deja vu go?
I mean, it's very easy to see where deja vu has gone for most of us anyway, given the fact that a lot of us are being constantly hit with frequencies, and then what we're eating, what we're breathing in, the smart dust. And I have a theory that the smart dust has access to our brains, and this is where possibly the Mandela effect is coming from. Because smart dust was there, the terminology of smart dust was there even before, years before the Mandela effect, planting false memories into our brains. And for a lot of us, that deja vu that was there previously that we heard a lot about and we experienced is no longer available. And I get it, some people can still get it, but I just feel like it's no longer as common as it once was. I haven't had deja vu in probably over a decade.
This behind me is Tesla's concept of what future warfare would look like. We of course know the man for his free energy devices, his electromagnetic motor, and his wireless power. But did you know that he made weapons that he thought would bring peace? Yeah. And in fact, there was multiple articles written up about these technologies. This is a 1907 article titled Tesla's Tidal Wave to Make War Impossible. Tesla said his invention could create fleet-destroying convulsions, engulfing huge ships like toy boats. He describes it as a wireless wonder, a vibration-based energy weapon transmitted through natural mediums rather than cables, like etheric maybe? The mechanism worked by producing vibrations or waves of tremendous power focused through resonance to generate artificial tidal waves. Artificial tidal waves. Tesla suggested that these forces could be aimed at sea or coastal regions enough to annihilate fleets thousands of miles away. That sure sounds like something, and I can't put my finger on it. Yeah, no, I don't know. And it doesn't end there. This is an 1898 article. Tesla's great invention to blow up hostile warships by electric waves. In the article, they say that Tesla declared, I am perfecting an electrical engine of war, which I am ready to offer to the government. The machine, he explained, could hurl death and destruction into an enemy ship through vibratory resonance, a method of inducing powerful oscillations that cause materials to fail. His electrical oscillator could transmit intense energy through air or water, generating destructive vibrations similar to earthquakes or explosions. Again, it's like it's on the tip of my tongue, and I just can't figure it out. I think it's almost no. Oh yeah, no, I remember. I'm not going to say it. So next time you laugh at us theorists about microwave beams and lines in the sky, just remember, in 1898 and 1907, the newspaper, the media, was telling you what they've perfected. Love y'all, and have a good day.
If they had access and perfected this type of technology back then, which they were using on the public, imagine the technologies they must have today. We're talking about over 100 years later.
There's a long-held theory that serial killers were programmed by the government in some form or fashion to do what they did. There is a startling number of serial killers who they themselves or a parent had a military background, especially during the 50s and 60s, with their crimes occurring in the late 60s, 70s. I believe that the vampire of Sacramento, Richard Chase, was one of them. Now, the story of Richard Chase is 100% true, and it is absolutely bonkers crazy. And I literally can't go into very many details at all about his case, because the things that he did were absolutely horrific. Like, he makes Jeffrey Dahmer look normal. Now, my theories on him being connected to any government program, that's just my opinion. Now, Richard Chase's father was a computer specialist at McClellan Air Force Base in the 50s. And he was a relatively normal kid until he wasn't. Now, his mother did have problems with mental illness, and this led to his parents getting a divorce. Richard started messing around with substances like LSD. And at that point, that is when he kind of dove into madness. Most of the people that look at this case now say that he basically had schizophrenia, and that's what made him do all these things. And this is my own opinion, but I sometimes wonder if schizophrenia is used as a label when people are actually programmed. We know the government at that time had technology that could make people hear voices. I tried to find if there was a connection between Project MK-You-Know-What and McClellan Air Force Base, but there's not. But there is speculation and rumors to a connection to Project Monarch. And I know, Project Monarch is considered a conspiracy theory. Project Monarch is a trauma-based mind control program used especially on children to basically break their brains and create alters, like altered personalities, like Manchurian candidates. They use things like extreme abuse and hypnosis, drugs, electroshock, and sensory deprivation, all to split the mind and program subjects. And you might be thinking, they did all of that under Project MK, and you would be right. But this is where I think Project Monarch gets the conspiracy theory label. It also incorporates occult rituals, satanic symbolism, and Illuminati structures within the programming. It's basically Project MK with unverified layers that involved occult abuse, celebrity programming, and conspiracies about elites. Now, I am not saying that Project Monarch is real. I do find it interesting, though, the second you mention celebrities, the Illuminati, and elites, it's suddenly a conspiracy theory. And I guess since there's no proof of it, because I guess victims and whistleblowers don't count. And unless it's not in black and white on government stationery, it didn't happen. But back to Richard Chase and others like him, again, this is my opinion. I think they see a kid or a family with a propensity for problems, like mental illness or genius, and exploit it. And I know this whole video is convoluted, but what are your thoughts on this?
That great video comes from too much of a coincidence, and she is 100% correct. A lot of these people that we see have these identity crises, or that we're told anyway, are people, a lot of them, who are under the Project Monarch system, and they carry out these horrific acts. I found this very interesting video. It's 19 minutes long. I'm only going to play about 3 minutes, but I will go ahead and upload the rest of the video, perhaps to my other channel, Hours of Horror.
You cannot give that information under direct orders.
Orders by whom?
I cannot say.
Mr. DeCamp, would you please instruct your client when he has to answer these questions?
Yes. You're supposed to answer these questions. Does this have to do with Monarch? Yes. If I use the code, will that help? Which I just obtained in the last hour. D6413782, program XPY Eagle Alex Hope. Please go ahead and answer all questions.
I was created by a government program. Which government program? Monarch. And what is Monarch?
Monarch is an operation that was created by the United States government to create spies for other countries. They use children for the purpose that they are easily integrated into multiple personalities because they can dissociate. Monarch is a program that is run by Michael Angelo Aquino, who was an Army Reserve colonel at Presidio. He is also the leader of the Temple of Set. He also runs a child daycare center. He also is involved in human sacrifice.
Is he employed by the United States?
Yes,
At what facility?
Presidio, California.
Is that in San Francisco area? Presidio
Yes.
Naval Base?
Yes.
Do you know what rank Michael Aquino holds?
He was a colonel.
Is he currently employed there?
I am not aware of the current situation.
Now, describe the program again, the Monarch program.
Monarch, as I said, was a program that used children to make multiple personalities for future use as spies and as a way to take over the United States government. The personalities were created at the first.
Who was intending to take over the United States government?
I do not know that information.
Did you understand Mr. Aquino to be working on behalf of the United States or against the United States?
I believed he was working on behalf of the United States.
So some segment of the United States was trying to take over the United States government?
The plan that Aquino had in it was he wanted to usher in the Antichrist, which is talked about in the Bible.
This was a government-sponsored program?
Yes.
You were 7 years old at the time that you were recruited?
I was actually 3 years old when it first began, but I was not created until later on.
Who created you?
I was created by Monarch.
Do you mean Mr. Aquino? Who in Monarch created you?
I was created by Monarch. I do not know who.
But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.